on to Green Lions with word performances and the Grand Star Theater. Welcome, welcome. So we're thrilled to be part of this amazing show, and it's great to see all of you. Thanks so much for coming. We've got a very exciting show for you with music, dance, poetry, and singing. Word Performance is a reading series of poetry, prose, fiction, memoir, and comedy where words are the lead. Dance is featured and music makes a cameo. It's produced and curated by Cybele Zufolo Siegel and Todd Siegel. Let's bring them up right now to say a little bit. There's Cybele. You're wonderful, Todd.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We're thrilled to see you. We're going to have a great show, and we introduce you to my wonderful husband, Todd Siegel, who designed the programs, the website.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out. It should be a highly enjoyable experience, and so let's just get to it. Thank you again, my lovely wife, Cybele, for helping to co-produce this, and Zarina and Simon for the wonderful Green Lions show. And so let's get to it.
I just want to say thank you to Zarina and Simon for the inspiration of the Ballet Russe. It's wonderful to work with you. And let's start.
One more time for the producers of the show, Cybele and Todd. So, we're going to start with our first performer. Are you guys ready? Are you excited? Yes. Let me just go over what's going to be going on tonight. Word Performances is proud to feature writer, poet, and publisher Chiwan Choi from LA, opera and jazz singer Laura Libby. Can we give it up for them? Poet and novelist Bryn Saitow. Writer, poet, and Viracocha director John Siegel. Laura Bonner, Lana Thomas. Samson Wenloon with the Amethyst Trio on violin, cello, piano, flute, and harp. Poet and performer Cybele Zufolo Siegel and wordsmith Todd Siegel. And hip-hop dancer AF with the Oakland Shadow Bunnies. I'm excited about this. Are you guys excited? Let's get excited. This is a great show. And after the show, check out the book table for books and CDs from all the artists that you're going to see tonight. They have great merchandise. And we've got refreshments at the concession booth and a post-show champagne celebration after word performances. You're not going to give it up for champagne? I'm giving it up for champagne every day. Right? So everyone's welcome to the champagne celebration afterwards. So I'm going to be your hostess, Yani Abuba. I'm the native services here. And I'm very happy to be here hosting this performance for Cybele and Todd. Very happy. I want to give some special thanks to do you like my teleprompter, you guys? I am so fancy. I'm reducing my carbon footprint. I want to give some special thanks to some shout outs to some people. To Todd Siegel, Little Giant Lighting in the Mission, Laura Salcido, Sean Savage, Erica Steinmetz, Tim Jonas, Harris Rosenblum, who I believe owns this theater, Elena Kulikova, Ginger Murray, Summer and Zarina Zabriskie, and Simon Rowe, with whom they shared this amazing, beautiful vision of Diaghilev's Ballet Russe. So welcome to Green Lions with word performances. It's like Fantasy Island. So without further ado, we're going to bring up our first artist. Our first artist is writer, poet, and scholar Bryn Saitow. Bryn is the author of The Palace of Contemplating Departure. Technology has failed me, sorry people. She's the author of The Palace of Contemplating Departure and winner of the Benjamin Saltman Poetry Award from Red Helen Press. She also co-authored Bright Power, Dark Peace, a chapbook of poetry from Diode Editions 2013. Bryn was born and raised in the Central Valley of California to a Korean-American mother and a Japanese-American father. And Bryn's poetry has been analogized by Helen Bendler and Ishmael Reed. It also has appeared in Virginia Quarterly. Broadway shows. Get it, girl? That's right. As either a piano, harp, or flute trio, the Amethyst Trio plays everything from Beethoven to Coldplay. As a piano trio, the group plays both classical and pop rock and jazz styles. Their blend of instruments and styles, plus the expertise of its players, makes them unique. So let's all give a warm welcome to the word performance stage, the Amethyst Trio. And then
hi everyone. Tonight I'm going to read for you 3 mythic dreams of a woman warrior. 1. Origin story. Woman warrior walks into a bar, sits down, says you're welcome, says hard rock, says so what, I know De La Soul is dead. Woman warrior orders whiskey sans ice, says wanna watch me drink it, says down it I will in 1 to 6 seconds with no one watching. From the forests crossing the rocks, above woman warrior's hometown, 1,600 men, strapped with guns, took the territory in 1 to 6 and rested on the 7th. She knew God, liked rituals done in his stead, and so it was good. Tethered as always to moonlight, the high, kind woman warrior fled the burnt town, arrived in the metropolis, found love, lost it again. Now in the bar, bracing herself for the eyeful onslaught of broken lovers, woman warrior waits, her head draped over her neck pouring down her back like a poised metal sword. Moonlight and ice. Woman warrior is thinking about justice. The moon out and climbing the sky, reminding her of the slow light of progress. Clocks line the banks of the frozen river. They conduct time, tall and ticking, while the river salutes the mystery of ice. She skates across it with a jar of honey stacked on another jar of honey stacked on another. 100 years later, and still she is skating, descended from the dark river of women, women loving men, men loving bottled love, love like a cradle of needles, mending, mending, mending. Three. Elegy for a woman warrior. When the time arrived for revolution, our hands bloomed white with carnations. The man with the steel and the man with the machete stripped sugarcane from stalks and sat like children to gnaw the fiber. The sun gave up the earth, and the world as we knew it ended not in fire, but in the midnight darkness of a winter road. We accepted this. A land without light excited us. We used our tongues to taste the embered air, and our shoulders with no armor to know the wind's direction. Now we walk the length of the forest without you, though some nights you're beside us, and again we're showering in summer light, and again we're lying our bodies across a field of dead leaves in autumn. I wish I could show you how good I've become, by counting to 10, by tapping my fingers against hip bones as rain pounds the wicker dark. I know how to breathe underwater now. I know what's beyond the wish we had for a changed world. In my solitude, I'm free to remember you. And some days, it aches like spice on the heartstring. And some days, it's a blue wing lifting. Thank you.
One more time for Brent Hightow. We fixed it, you guys. We fixed the mic. Are you excited? Wasn't that beautiful? Yeah? Now let's see if technology wants to be with us here. This one. All right. So our next performer is a very, very talented woman, soprano Laura Libby. Is a 2013 graduate of the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, where she received an MM in vocal performance, in addition to holding a BM degree with the Wheaton College Conservatory of Music in Illinois. Her recent opera roles include Zerlina in Don Giovanni and Papagena in I cannot do the German, Zauberflöte with Pavel Opera, Zerlina at Bassotti, the title role in Cavalli's La Callisto, and covering Despina in the Conservatory Opera Theater and production of Mozart's Così fan tutti. Other favorite opera roles include Lucia, Amy from Little Women, and Eva in Passage to Paradise from Opera Works Advanced Artist Program. Laura is also an avid musical theater performer, and her roles include Hodel in Fiddler on the Roof, Olive Ostrovsky in the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and Clara in Lighting the Piazza. This November, she will be performing with the Pizza Underground, an anti-folk Velvet Underground cover band, featuring Macaulay Culkin. He's not dead, no matter what Twitter said, who incidentally was the prince in the Nutcracker movie on their North American tour. So let's all welcome to the stage, Laura Libby.
Hallelujah.
Beautiful. Laura Libby. One more time for Laura Libby, everyone. That was gorgeous. How are we all doing? Enjoying yourselves? This is wonderful. I'm just going to keep it going. Our next artist is poet, writer, and publisher Chiwan Choi. Chiwan is the founder of Writ Large Press, which develops, edits, publishes new works by Los Angeles writers. Writ Large Press creates and promotes tailored events for each author and his or her work using a combination of social media campaigns and good old-fashioned street team savvy. Chiwan is the author of Abductions, a collection of poetry. And Chiwan was called the Jay-Z of poetry by the LA Weekly. What? Chiwan is a published writer, sought-after editor, and influential local publisher. Chiwan is constantly looking for challenges that go beyond the traditional models, seeking out clues to how paradigms are changing as we continue into the future. And we're honored to present to you, all the way from Los Angeles, writer and poet, Chiwan Choi.
It's easy to become Jay-Z of anything, just quit and then start again. That's literally what I did. I write about my family's history of abductions, and this is a journal entry from December 2018. He waves his hand in the air, half pointing and half waving at the little shelf by the kitchen. I get up from the black leather couch and walk a few steps toward the direction in which he's gesturing. I stop and turn. What? He points again and more intent. I shake my head and continue to all the possible things. There's a lone picture in a frame by the toaster. All the others are on a different table, but this one is here. One of us, the two boys, with Mom. We are in rain jackets, each one a different bright color. It was raining that day on that island in Korea. The cabbie took the photo. Dad wasn't there. He was gone for 2 weeks. I walk past the photo because I know it isn't what he's wanting. I pick up the Costco-sized bottle of fish oil. I hold it up. This? No. Then what? He shakes his head. I scan the shelving. Bread, peanut butter, goldfish crackers, a toaster. These, I say, waving his pillbox in the air. No, he says, and stop playing with that. I put it down and remain still. I can't tilt my head back up. It feels so heavy. I can feel his stare on my back. It's heavier still. I place my hand on top of the Pringles tube. I tap on the plastic. I don't know what you want, I mutter under my breath. I hear him. I hear him breathing. I hear him shuffling the blanket on his bed. I hear him. I look up at the small calendar on the kitchen counter. Different dates marked up with different colored pens. I've been doing it for them recently. I recognized my writing on Wednesday of last week. Mom, taken, 5:47 a.m. I turn and walk back, the Pringles in my hand, to Dad, who is now staring at the ceiling, his fingers tapping out some secret code on the mattress. I take a seat on the edge next to him with my back to him. I stare down at the floor, at my feet that no longer dangle in the air when I sit on my parents' bed. Remembering Sophia, 9 years old, sitting alone in our living room on her first Thanksgiving after her father's death from cancer. How she was staring down and I worried and I asked her what she was doing and she said, "Oh, staring at my toes. I like to stare at my toes." He touches my elbow. I hold up the Pringles. He takes the tube from my hand. I hear him. I hear him digging. I hear him eating. I hear him breathing and choking on the chips. I hear him. I always hear him in the dark of my room, in the footsteps tapping out the night rhythm on the rain-wet sidewalk, in the moments when I scream until wife and dog are hiding behind the dresser. Strange, he says. I turn around to face him. There are crumbs on his chest. He's still staring at the ceiling, the fingers of his left hand digging in for more chips. My eyes focus on his left shoulder. Has become so small, so narrow and precious. In all the years, all the times that when I've been here, your mom, I don't know, don't really know. When he puts his fingers on his cheek to wipe, I look away. Look at the tennis balls he put under each leg of every chair to kill the noise against the floor, glowing so green in this space. A deep breath, his, mine, somebody here. It's just strange not being there to get her, to bring her home. I've always been there. She'll understand, I say. You'll be there, yeah? I nod. You'll make sure you bring her home, you'll do that. Yeah. His fingers still strong, wrapped tight around my elbow. Promise, you bring her home. I got it. I tried to tear my arm away from his grasp, but his fingers tighten harder when I pull. I keep myself from telling him to let me go, embarrassed to tell him that he's hurting me, that he can still hurt me. I tug again, and it's like I have lifted him up, his torso rising, crumbs trickling down his chest toward his waist, until his face is close enough for me to smell his rotting teeth. Dad, this is the release. This is when you can no longer hold on. This is about losing the tension of a life and holding. This is the room caving into the space vacated by contact that ends. This is my father letting go. This is releasing. This is his body returning to his position of waiting. This is my face turning away from love in its final chapter. This. Keep her warm. Take a blanket, some crackers, he says. She'll be cold, scared. I know, Dad, I say. I try to stop my hands from shaking by putting them on my knees. At the vanity, an outfit for Mom is folded up and waiting. Pants, a shirt, a red sweater, a thick pair of socks balled up on top like a cherry. I get up and move to the clothes. I touch the fabric, the sweater pilling and snag all up and down the sleeves. I bend down and open the bottom drawer and dig through more sweaters and hoodies from my old schools. I grab the gray one with the purple and pink NYU Mom decal. After pulling out and standing straight, I unfold and fold the sweatshirt again. Place it on top of the pile except for the socks, which I lift and put back down on the very top. His hand, waving. I go closer and sit side saddle on the edge of the bed, my left knee folded toward him, close. This is a distance where there can be touch, and there is. His fingertips on tight skin of my knee. She's lucky, he says. She's lucky that you're around and you can come get her, bring her home. Close there. I can't do it this time, you know. My hand hovers over his. I can feel the heat from his hand. Or maybe I'm imagining. Maybe it's my own body from the fire that has never stopped burning inside. Like the house in the zone that burns forever. But this fire inside doesn't have the power to heal. There's no magic in the flames that moves with the breath I suck in through the nights without sleep. I can do it, I say. He turns his face away and looks at the green sheer that barely budges at the window. She got you, but you. One day, what if your wife can't be there? You got nobody. Who's gonna get you? Me, look at me. I can't get anybody anymore. I'm not going to be here all that much longer anyway. Look at me. Only thing I really want. It will be over. End of it. For me, I can't do it anymore. I can get myself home. He's laughing. My father's laughing. He laughs for seconds or hours or these days we lose track of until he winds down his laughter to a chuckle then to silence. Nobody can get back home alone, he says. I have to go. When I was little, like most boys, I was told not to cry. So I, like most boys, did it in hiding, did it in my room. Even in high school, that night at the Chinese restaurant, when I told my family that I was going to quit school and run away, and we had to leave before the sweet and sour soup and slippery shrimp arrived. My father chased me into the bathroom at home, not to tell me why I was a bonehead and should stop having ridiculous ideas, but to scold me for crying at the sink. He had pointed at the mirror then. Look at that, look at yourself crying, he yelled. You look like a damn girl. The gas came, overwhelming me as I tried to stop my tears, only succeeding in making myself choke and cough. And I couldn't fight back, scream back at him that I didn't see the point of school anymore, a continuing charade to pretend that nothing was wrong, that we were just like every other family. I couldn't fight back because he was my father, even if our family was always a broken and temporary thing. I'm not pretending. We're not pretending. I'm crying in front of him now. His hand is still on my knee. We are touching. They'll want you to write about your journey, your family's journey. That's what you're supposed to do if you're going to be a writer. Your journey. He pauses. He swallows a strained breath. I don't know what you're going to say. How do you write about your journey, about us, if it wasn't really your journey at all? Our lives, it's been more of an interruption of what our journey was supposed to be. We got robbed of ours, and then this is the end of us, you know? I nod. You're the last one of us. Our family ends with you. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Chiwan Choi. Beautiful. Our next artist is writer, poet, performer, visionary, and director of Viracocha SF, John Siegel. John Siegel owns and operates Viracocha SF, which is a hotbed of performance arts in the city. He's a writer, poet, photographer, visionary, and community organizer, and has hosted events such as Poetry Mission. He's also been a contributing member to 16th Admission's Collaborative Arts Insurgency Group. He is the author of Ironing the Pants of Time from 7th Tangent Press, and among other creative works, and a fistful of popular anthologies. John Siegel has been a member of the San Francisco Bay Area poetry community for a number of years, and we are thrilled and honored to have him here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a warm welcome to John Siegel.
I want to come home. I want to come home. I want to tell you too many times that I want to forget how cold it's been all these days without you and find arms more familiar than my own. I want to create more reasons to not pretend anymore and contend I don't actually need you because everything inside says I'm more recipes to feed you. More stories to speak true, and I can't help but bleed through that heart that beats me when I'm coming home to you. I want to come home. I want to tell you too many times there ain't nothing more beautiful in life than to know and view the strength of your kindness, to witness forgiveness more apparent than litmus, the itness of you, never surrendering to being anything but you. That I put such faith into people, loving graciously, voraciously, and audaciously before I ever precociously as a child set out in search of you. And the weaker heart has always been my own, failing more often in the face of opposition and distracting attraction, the contraction of conviction that has too long played my best friend, providing us answers to to my question of top 10 reasons why I'm not with you now. And I realize continental drift can't be my scapegoat anymore. And what separates us has little or nothing to do with proximity, as it has to do with the constant shifting of perspectives, the directives I receive from fear. And it corrupts me. Absolutely. And the time it takes for your words to travel and heal me leaves me too wounded and weak to feel free in a country who both we should be, yet only slightly loosen the noose on oak trees when our pockets are filled with rocks. When we spend more time downloading images of pussies and cocks, because I swear we punch in and punch out like slaves to clocks, and all I want to do is come home and apologize for not being there sooner. Because the only freedom I want to fight for is the right to tell you I love you for the rest of my life. And if the presence of your hand is contingent upon a plane ticket and a willingness to believe, then I guess I know now what I have to do.
I'm the divine and the devil, the satanic and the sanctified. I am both the faithful and the faithless, the sinner and the virtuous, the lover and the fucker, the father and the mother. I am nothing, if not all. The to be and not to be. Death with and without taxation. Life, absent of incarnation, revelation and disguise, the truth and the falsified. I am your son, who wants to be a daughter. Your sister, who became your brother. I am the man inside woman, the lady with the biggest cock. I have no answers my questions can't solve, no middle with which to revolve. I am the inner and the outer, the exuberant and the pouter, the Casanova of your dreams, and the sociopath of your nightmares. The asshole prick you love to hate, and the best friend you hate to love. I am a stereotypical, rainbow-colored, interdisciplinary scholar teacher regurgitating with inspired conviction the importance of frivolity, the north and south polarity, the right and left-wing insanity, the chicken and the egg, the prayer without the beg, the hero and the villain, the extra and the lead, leading us all through the full spectrum analysis of meaninglessness. It's not that I'm just defunct and deplorable, but also irreducibly adorable. Both ugly and beautiful. Fastidiously fascinating, tediously captivating, hideously me trying to pass as gorgeous you. The one in the pew, preaching unity and diversity, the necessity of perversity, multiplication and division, healing through derision, finding light through failing vision. I am green eggs and ham. The apple that kept the doctor from Eve and Adam. Alexander, Napoleon, Hitler, Saddam, the pious and guilty, the slaughterer of the lamb, sacrificing right to punish the wrong, the weakest of the supposedly strong. I am a figment of your overactive imaginations and the realest goddamn thing you've ever seen. I am a loser to the empty, to the power of free, finding no one in this world who was cooler than me, the pornography and the tail of the bird and the bee, the flower that aspires at the roots of the tree. I am the God who rose without the oven, a wicked, protected by the covenant, an enlightened soul who refuses the light, a seer who denounces the truth of his sight. I came here unannounced and prophesied. I am not who you think I am, and everything you should.
Siegel, thank you, Tom. That was amazing. That was amazing, right? This whole evening, I feel like like I've been transported somewhere and I don't want to return. I just want to stay here in this moment. So I'm going to keep it going with our next performer. Our next artist is writer, poet, and performer, and co-curator of the Word Performances reading series, Cybele Zufolo Siegel. She's going to be performing in collaboration with Laura Garner and the Amicus Trio. Cybele Zufolo Siegel's poetry appeared in Out of Our Poetry magazine, Passages on the Lake, Sparkle and Blink, Quiet Lightning, the BMCC Inquirer, and featured at Sacred Grounds. Cybele is a National Endowment for Humanities grant recipient. She's an adjunct instructor of literature and poetry from the City University of New York and former young dancer with the New York City Ballet, where she danced for 6 years. And she's also appeared in films and voiceovers. Cybele is finishing up her first collection of poetry and non-fiction essays called Ocean Sounds in New York, poems and prose on dance, love, identity, family, and performance. So let's all please give a warm welcome, Cybele Zufolo Siegel.
The performance of strange worlds, euphoric tides held us till we slept. The stage will revive and lift you. It is the gift of an eternal life spring. As a child, the theatrical production told me I wasn't alone. I was a young artist with a purpose and an identity. A starry tutu revealed under the constellation of the theater, where a little girl was always loved and cared for. The rumbling A-train became symphonic to the sounds of Tchaikovsky. All harmonizing in one great call to me, a tornado of love letters, telling me that a world of excitement was there for the taking, and I could take it, corseting me into an eternal celebration on stage. The ballet world loved us all. I remember in the Nutcracker Suite, I was a little girl. Oh, how Lincoln Center lit up at night, and the dancing, loving waters of the night fountain spoke to me. Oh, night of passion, night of winds blowing. In the Nutcracker Suite, there was a picture of me as a little girl, dancing. I was twirling in a party scene, spinning. I was so incredibly happy, filled with joy. There was a picture taken by a young boy I was dancing with. I always want to be remembered that way.
ballet class. Performance of the body was not always pretty. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grace and elegance. Grace and elegance. Like Alexandra Danilova, who was my teacher at the School of American Ballet. You want to be a dancer, my child. Self-esteem was woven into our feet. We were like little Pavlovas standing at the bar. The dance teacher walked over to the pianist, tells a much-needed joke. We laughed like we hadn't laughed in years. You call that Mendelssohn? On a good day, you would see Balanchine in the elevator. One, two, three, four. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again.
One more time for Cybele Zufolo Siegel.